In 1977, the character Fonzie in the American television series Happy Days decides to answer a challenge to his bravery. Donning swim trunks while at the same time not removing his iconic leather jacket, Fonzie attempts a water skiing stunt where he jumps over a shark. Happy Days was a show that the average Joe could understand and see themselves being a part of, given its generally relatable tone and realistic depiction of the teenage experience. But this episode changed the tone of the series. After his stunt, Fonzie became a more unrelatable character where he began getting away with all manner of superhuman stunts. You probably see where I'm going with this. This is where the phrase "jumping the shark" comes from, and I can't think of a better way to describe this movie. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Let's Talk, the series where we wish people would leave the sharks alone. This is your friendly neighborhood Birdman, and today I'm going to tell you just how dumb Fast 9 is. Okay, so Fast and Furious 9 is, you guessed it, the 10th film in this franchise. It tells the story of the Toretto crew 2 years after the 8th movie, where Dom and Letty have retired from whatever it is they do and have settled down to raise Dom's son, Brian Jr. But not really. Anyway, the Too Fast, Too Furious crew show up and explain to Dom that Mr. Nobody's plane has crashed and enlist their help in finding him. Of course, the job goes sideways and Dom's younger brother Jacob shows up, and now we got a family. A movie. Before I begin ripping into this movie, I'd like to talk about what I did like about this movie. I actually really like John Cena here. I'm glad this guy got a fair shake after The Marine, because that movie was enough to tank anyone's career, and he's been on the ball for a while now. There's an intense scene with him and Vin Diesel towards the end of the second act that made me go, okay. The movie flashes back a few times to a young Dominic Toretto, and I really enjoyed watching these flashbacks and how accurate they were to the lines in earlier movies. They show the death of Dom's father, and it pretty much lines up exactly how it was stated in the original movie. I love when movies match continuity like that, and they did a good job in this specific instance. I also like the return of the Tokyo Drift crew, but this also has some shit I didn't like, so I'll shelve that for now. Basically, I believe all the actors did a great job with what they were given, and I didn't really find anyone to be doing a bad job. I mean, this is the 10th movie at this point. If they didn't know how to portray their characters, something has gone horribly wrong. Speaking of gone horribly wrong, literally everything else about this movie is shit. The script is dreadful. This movie has characters saying lines that are just absolute cheese. I would settle for the stupid-ass family talk that comes out of Dom's mouth every 5 minutes in the old movies over this nonsense. There are more than a few scenes of Ludacris saying something that either felt off or just corny. Like there was a scene with a rocket car, and Luda looks dead into the camera and says, "Dominic Toretto sent us." This scene is played as a joke, of course, but this character is dead-ass serious, so the moment kind of falls flat. And then Letty every other scene is talking about, "This is what we do," or "This is who we are." It's like she's talking to the 3 people in the theater that hasn't seen a single Fast and Furious movie, trying to explain to those 3 people why they're all of a sudden superheroes. And boy, are these mofos superheroes. Remember that soliloquy from the beginning of this video? Just like Fonzie from Happy Days, the characters in this movie are practically indestructible. The stunts in this movie are so unbelievable that they take you out of the experience. The suspension of disbelief that is required here is simply too much. I have put up with a lot in this series. Characters coming back from the dead, Dom overpowering the goddamn rock, falls that should have broken every bone in a human's body. But dude, this movie is just too much. Let me paint a picture for you. Towards the end of the movie, 2 characters are fighting on the top of a moving vehicle. Dom is chasing them, and one of them is about to fall off. Dom hits a car with his car, and that car catches the falling character. It's like they don't even care if something is realistic anymore, and that is perfectly illustrated by the amazingly bad CGI. This movie has CGI on the level of the Gumby TV show. I cannot understand why a franchise that has had amazing stunt work decided to go CGI for the stunts in this movie. But that Guam film student is back because these visual effects let you know it was amateur hour at the Apollo. How this shit got okayed is beyond me. I'm old enough to remember the first and second movies having CGI during the race scenes, but it was never used on the actors doing mundane stunts. They literally CGI'd Dom running on a rooftop. These lazy sons of bitches couldn't get a stuntman to run on a rooftop in some Timberlands. This series has been the butt of jokes and memes for years now, and it really seems like the movies are leaning into them. A long-running joke about the Fast and Furious was that they had nowhere else to go but up. Spoiler alert, they actually go to space in this movie. I think this was the point where my disappointment was solidified, because as an enormous fan of this franchise, the one thing I could hold against detractors of this series was that they would never actually go to fucking space. But Tej and Roman fly a rocket car into space. This is not fun. It's incredibly stupid and reeks of scientific illiteracy. I'm not asking a Fast movie to be scientifically accurate, but this kind of thing takes you out of a movie. I mean, you have street racers saving the world by flying a Fiero into space and taking out a satellite. This shit is dumb. There's literally a running gag in the movie where Roman wonders aloud if they are superheroes. The movie points out that the characters literally have plot armor. I think the filmmakers fancy themselves as pretty clever because they seem to think this raises the tension in the movie and makes people believe that any of these characters can die. Breaking news! Nobody dies. As if this movie couldn't get any dumber, the one thing I was really looking forward to was the explanation for how Han is still alive. Han is my #1 favorite character in this series, so as soon as they went to Tokyo, you bet your ass I was paying attention intently. Spoiler alert, this shit is also dumb. I kid you not, this movie retcons a retcon from Fast and Furious 6. If you thought them going to space was an ass pull, this is the motherload. There is no way you can watch Tokyo Drift and understand the explanation in this movie. There is zero continuity, and they're hoping people don't notice or care, which is one of the worst things you can do to your audience. Treat them like they're idiots. And the messed up part is that Han barely even does anything in this movie. Why bring him back if he's going to be a big nothing? And that's not the only retcon here. Jacob as a character is a retcon. Here's a line from the 4th movie.
Hey, say goodbye to your only brother.
Only? Bitch, what about Jacob?
There is no ambiguity here. Mia is stating plainly that there are 2 Toretto children, her and Dom. So where does Jacob come from? Oh, I know. This movie's misguided attempt at replicating the success of Fast 5. This movie is a clone of Fast 5, but does everything worse. Don't believe me? Well, let's list all the things. Hire a former professional wrestler to be the adversary of Dom? Bring back characters from Too Fast, Too Furious? Han returns from his apparent death in Tokyo Drift? A chase sequence involving 2 cars dragging something behind them? This movie is Fast 5, but made by the Sci-Fi Channel. The Fast and Furious is one of my favorite movie series of all time. I have loved every movie up until this farce, even the 4th one, but I can't take it anymore. This isn't Fast and Furious. They don't have real people doing the stunts. The cars are afterthoughts. They have criminals and street racers stopping international crime syndicates. Nobody can die because they'll just retcon the death, so there's no tension. They actually went to space. Fast and Furious has jumped the shark. A D. I cannot quite put into words how much I am disappointed with this movie. The funny thing about this is, Tyrese got into an Instagram beef with The Rock over releasing Hobbs and Shaw before this movie, causing Fast 9 to get delayed. It's almost like Universal knew this movie was weak sauce, so they wanted to release the infinitely better Hobbs and Shaw before this nonsense. So just like his character Roman Pierce, Tyrese should shut his mouth and know his role. Anyway, this has been your friendly neighborhood Birdman, and I'll see you in the next one.